Hello everyone, today I just wanted to share some tips and tricks that I use for my indoor garden in terms of organic fertilizers and organic pest control. Now, yes, you do get, or you can get pests indoors. Pests can include anything from like those fungus gnats to sometimes there's small little insects that come in on your hair or your clothes that you bring in from outdoors that if you've never had a garden before or an indoor garden, you wouldn't notice because they leave because there's nothing for them to eat. But when they do, especially in the summertime, if you have a garden and you bring it indoors on accident, you notice that they tend to multiply. They also come in through the windows, so it's possible. Obviously, less of a chance than growing outdoors, but still possible. But there's still something that you can do about it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go over the fertilizers first. I think that's the easiest thing. When I first started gardening indoors, what I really wanted to do was find a way to do things organically, but not in a way that I can't reproduce it or I can't make it on my own for when I move out of the small space that I'm in. Meaning I didn't want to keep buying organic fertilizers. I wanted something that I could easily transfer to something homemade when I get the space and the money to do that. So what I went with is I went with blood meal. Blood meal has a high nitrogen count. On this bag, you'll see that it has really almost all nitrogen in it, which is good for leafy growth, such as lettuce, the beginnings of tomatoes, the beginning of peppers. So that's blood meal. And this is bone meal, which you can see has less nitrogen, but it has more phosphorus, which is good for flowering plants. So, like I said, tomatoes when they flower, peppers when they flower, any of your other fruits, cucumbers, that kind of thing. A lot of times what I'll do is when I first plant it, now this is after plants have become seedlings, not when they're small seeds, but after they become established and I want to pot up, all I'll do is I'll mix both of these in the dirt and I'll water it in with the seedling. But sometimes you need a little boost, so what I find is by putting this in a water bottle and shaking it up, because it's so fine, this is not the granule, so you can see it's almost powdered, and so if I put it in the water bottle and I mix it with water and put it in the soil, then I notice that the plant is able to immediately take up the nutrients, and I see a noticeable difference when I do that as if I were to use a liquid fertilizer such as this. So a lot of times I'll do that every couple of weeks, but this year I'm going to try to see how long I can go without it, because what happens is if you put this in the dirt and just water it, it's a slower release fertilizer, and so sometimes your plants need boosts. This is indoor or outdoor gardening. Sometimes your plants need boosts throughout the season to keep growing or grow better. So that's one way I do that. And the reason I chose blood meal and bone meal is because it's something, now I live in a small space, so right now I can't produce my own blood meal and bone meal, but you can, there's lots of recipes for how you can make your own, and I intend to do that once I get the chance to. But another way to do this is if you catch this on sale, these are kind of expensive, but I caught it on sale for a few dollars, so I've been using this Dr. Earth's Organic Pump and Grow. This is a balanced, more balanced fertilizer, 322. So I just will use it for a general purpose fertilizer whenever plants need a little boost. And that'll just be, when that runs out, and I probably won't get any more unless it goes on sale, but it is effective. It does work. Would I pay full price for it? No. The next thing that I use is eggshells. Now, eggshells help add calcium back into your soil, which is super important for things like tomatoes, so that they don't get blossom end rot and that kind of thing. So what I do is I just take my eggshells, I grind them really finely in a coffee grinder, and then I repurpose my pasta jar and add them in here. Same with the coffee grounds. I mixed coffee grounds with the eggshells. But something to note about that is this is a more slow release fertilizer. So this is something I would mix in with the dirt. Oftentimes I'll put this in, the eggshells with the blood meal and bone meal mixture when I first initially plant the plant, so that as I water it, it can kind of release. Another option for that is fire starter. Now this is like $1 at Walmart, and I kind of keep it in there for emergencies or if I want to, I don't know, boost my soil, and I'll grind it up a little finer and put it in with the water. But this is the equivalent of ash, basically. So it's used to start fires. Now, I'd be very careful with this in a small space or an apartment, but I'll mix it in with the dirt and it'll add the nutrients that similar to how like a fire would when it burns. And you know, it says, you know, things grow from the ashes. That's the nutrients here. Now on to pest prevention and care. Now this is something new I'm trying, but these are just these little yellow sticky traps. Supposedly the insects are supposed to be attracted to them and just stick on them, and these are for like little fungus gnats and little things like that. But we'll see how this works. But what I do know that works are these over here. So here we've got neem oil, which you can purchase on Amazon. It's a natural way to prevent pests, and all I'll do is I'll put this with some water, and it comes with instructions on how much water to dilute it with, but you just spray it on there. Either you spray it on the plant or you spray it in the dirt. It just depends on what you're using it for, but this is a huge help. The next thing I did, I do like to find things on sale. So this was on sale, so I went out and bought it, and it's actually really effective. I had some aphids in my garden, so this was helpful for those aphids and those fungus gnats. But it also, on the bottle, it says aphids, mites, whiteflies, caterpillars, fleas, spiders, and more. Basically, it's got rosemary oil, sesame oil, peppermint oil, thyme, cinnamon oil, garlic oil. It doesn't smell bad, because that's the thing about neem oils. It has like a very strong smell. This doesn't smell too bad, and it was very effective, and it comes in a spray bottle. The other thing that you have to worry about here growing indoors is fungus and molds and things like that, because you're growing in an indoor environment, and you usually keep your home nice and warm in the winter, and in the summer it's kind of cool, but it's hot outside, so it still stays about an average temperature. So okay, I had to switch video cameras because my other one had some issues, but as I was saying, cinnamon helps with preventing molds and different funguses. Now, you obviously, when you're growing inside, you'll want to watch the temperature, you want to watch the humidity of your house, you want to do all of that. But I noticed that this really, really works. Now, what I'll do is I'll buy a big old thing of them, and I'll just stock up on them. And when it's time to plant the plant, when it's time to plant the seed, after I plant it, I'll water it, and then I'll top it. I don't know if you can see here. I will top it with the cinnamon and also some perlite. And what that does is that helps smother out any of the fungus or mold that would be growing, especially when you're initially growing your seedlings. So seeds to grow generally need a very humid environment. They thrive best when that very humid environment happens. But in the process, so do other things that you don't want. So this is just one way to prevent that. Another way is, as you can see here on my lettuce trays here, I have a plastic cover. Now, I'll use various covers, but this is just one. This is lettuce, so lettuce needs light to grow, to germinate. So what I'll do is I'll do clear plastic cover, and I'll poke holes in there as well so that air can get in, but it's trapping some of that humidity. You also want to keep a fan blowing on these things, which is why I keep this on here too, because obviously a fan will dry out your soil faster, but keeping a fan will keep the air moving. It'll help with your humidity issues. It'll help with some temperature issues. And so it prevents the air from being stagnant, which prevents a lot of things from growing that you don't want, like fungus and molds. And it also dries out the top layer of the soil so that fungus gnats and things like that don't find it habitable. Because what fungus gnats will do is they will get in the soil, they will burrow underneath the initial top layer, create eggs, hatch, and then you've got a big problem. So that's just some ways to do indoor gardening, to do it in a way that's effective for you, but it also does not is not a cesspool of insects. So if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, if you have anything, I will be taking you along my journey of growing this winter. But I encourage you to just grow your food indoors. Just try it. Look at other videos. I have some videos coming up here, taking you through my journey. But don't be intimidated. Just try it. And I think you'll like it. So if you have any questions, leave them below and I will answer them. And I will talk to you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.